Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of New Releases. Today, I am joined by two fabulous singers. I have Hollie-Anne Clarke and Hannah Magnelli. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you both doing?
Good.
It's very nice to have you on to chat. I mean, I've seen you both online before, but it's the first opportunity where we're actually speaking, so that's always fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here with both of you. So thank you for having me.
Really happy to be here with both of you.
And you both have some great new releases coming up. But let's start a little bit. So if people don't know you, tell us a little bit about your sound, your background, and maybe a highlight from your career so far. If it's okay, let's do Hannah, Hollie.
Okay, so regarding my background, I started singing when I was since I was very young. And at around 12 or 13 years old, I started to sing church music with the choir director and started me on the classical music and musical theater. And eventually sang throughout high school, doing drama club and music lessons. I also played violin for many years.
Very nice.
And then I went to school for music. And of course, when you go and you major in voice, it's always classical music as your foundation.
Yep.
And so I was involved with that. And I actually did a lot of crossover as well. And eventually after graduating, what happened was, or during college, actually, I started doing a lot of internships. I was with Daniel Barenboim with the West Eastern Symphony Orchestra for 2 summers. I interned with them and was with Sebastian Weigel at the Gran Teatro del Liceo in Barcelona. And I just kind of continued from there, studying with different teachers and going eventually later on in my 20s, a more traditional operatic route. And I've kind of, after COVID, been going back into the crossover a little bit and see what happens.
Well, tell us just a little bit. So you said you played, was it violin or viola?
Violin.
Violin. Okay. So you did have that bit where you're growing up, you're playing an instrument. Would you say it was like a great thing and you'd encourage people to do it, even if it's not their thing, they want to do instruments, but just to learn something else besides their main instrument?
Oh, definitely. I think it's, especially as a singer, and of course there's always that joke that singers can't count.
Yeah.
Or like we're not real musicians or something. So I always think that playing a musical instrument is definitely a plus because you learn how to really read the music, rhythm, counting, all of that is in your learning process and you can incorporate it into your singing. And that's always a plus to have. So whether it's violin or piano is very beneficial as a singer. I just had chosen violin, but it still helped me a lot.
So your background then, it sounds like a lot of operatic, so that sound probably comes natural to you. Yes. You mentioned doing some crossover though. So what's it been like kind of experimenting with your sound now with the releases you're making?
It's been, of course, if you listen to me, my voice is I'm a mezzo soprano. So I have a very full operatic voice. And you listen to my Cinema Paradiso, you're going to hear more of that. But with these 2 Christmas singles, I'll Be Home for Christmas and Oh Holy Night, I really tried to lighten it up and it wasn't hard. I had to think a little bit to make sure I didn't overpower it too much, but it was actually a lot of fun, kind of adding more of a poppy, lighter classical pop twist to it. And I really like it. And I see a lot of other people really enjoy it. And so that makes me happy.
Well, that sounds great. We're going to talk more about that release in a second. Hollie, let's go to you a little bit about your background and some of the things you've done so far.
Sure. So, hi everybody. My name's Hollie. I studied music similar to Hannah actually. So I started with a really classical background. To begin with, I was having lessons at school, and then went off to study music at university. But I actually really fell in love with musical theatre first. And then it was a teacher at university which said to me, you've got a really good classical sound. Let's see where that goes. And like Hannah, I majored in voice. And then after that, I went off to study a master's here in the UK at a music conservatoire. And that took me through the classical route, doing a lot of opera. And then I thought at that moment, actually, you know what, I want to go back and do some musical theatre. So I went and studied some musical theatre in London, and then revisited opera. So I've kind of gone between the two. When I was living in London, I had an opportunity to sing with the BBC, which was in the BBC Symphony Chorus, and we did a lot of the BBC proms in the Royal Albert Hall, which was absolutely amazing experience, you know, to be involved in that every year. And have the opportunity to work with lots of amazing, you know, classical musicians and classical orchestras. But I also have always really had this huge love of musical theatre. And I think I was drawn to opera and musical theatre both because I love telling stories. And I really love getting into a story and characterising all of my songs, which is why a lot of my videos tend to have sort of some kind of storyboard through them.
Yeah.
So I was drawn to obviously that within the crossover. So I've been doing a lot of performing throughout my life, and you know, as a classical musician, you still get asked to do lots of different genres. And so I make a lot of my living through singing other styles. And to me, I was able to really cross over because I was always interchanging between the styles. So one minute I'd be singing musical theatre in full musical theatre voice, and then switching to singing opera. And I really liked that sort of element of being able to showcase all those different genres in one. But I think that's where my sort of love for crossover has come from, because I can sort of still remain singing with my operatic sound and put that into musical theatre, but then also sing musical theatre as, you know, in a full sort of musical theatre voice. So yeah, I really enjoy crossover for that reason.
So we'll talk about some of those videos in a second too. I'm just going to give a couple shout outs to people watching us live that have commented. So we have David, Tuomo, Lauren, Chris, Janny. There's actually a couple Chris's, Holger, Santo. So Hazel, thank you guys all for joining us. If you have questions for the artists, please put them in the comment section and we'll get to those as well. Holly, I do have a question for you. I think I saw online that you started your own opera company. Is that true? And if so, that's amazing.
Yep, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I'm not sure if Hannah's had similar experiences, but the opera industry is really challenging one, and I feel like sometimes you have to make your own opportunities to make things happen. And you know, I just got to a stage where I felt like, why do I need to wait for somebody else's permission to do something that I really love? Let's just create something with people. So yeah, we started a fledgling, you know, startup company in the summer of this year. It's called Opera Synergy. So go give it a follow. Yeah, we're actually going to be undertaking a production of La Bohème. And so really excited about this. And I've got a lot of other wonderful creative people involved, and you know, it's really exciting to build something from the start. So I hope yeah, we can build it and it can become an even bigger project.
Well, that is amazing. I have to just say, anyone that's trying to coordinate all these different things, being a singer, as you both know, is a full-time thing. We've all got other gigs. So to do that on top, that's really incredible. I'm going to pop onto the screen here the artwork for Pure Imagination. So remind me, Holly, this is your debut album, and when does this come out?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yay!
Yeah, so this is really good timing to chat to you now. Yeah, so it's out tomorrow. It's actually available on pre-order right now on iTunes, and then it'll be out on all streaming platforms tomorrow, and then you can digitally download it as well, also from Bandcamp. So there's links on my page as well for that, but it's out tomorrow. I'm really excited about it. The idea actually came from doing the videos for you guys at Classical Crossover magazine. And obviously I'd released Believe last year as one of my Christmas singles, and I felt like being involved in so many of your wonderful concerts gave me an opportunity to make a lot of videos. And I thought, you know what, these need to go on an album. So that's where the idea came from. And there's a few Christmas tracks thrown in there as well.
Now, you mentioned the videos, so you truly created stories for each of them, starting with Believe. You did the wonderful crossover of Over the Rainbow for us. So tell us, you have, I think also, is it tomorrow that you have the new music video coming out?
It's this evening.
This evening. Okay, so
Yeah.
after this. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, so there is a track on the album. When I was talking about actually crossing over into musical theatre, I wanted to make sure that that was inclusive on the album as well, so it wasn't all sung in an operatic style, but there was some, you know, real music theatre numbers. So this is Defying Gravity, which is one of my most favourite musicals, Wicked, and I had to put that on the album. So that music video is out, and you'll be able to watch that on YouTube.
Brilliant. I will definitely be checking that out. Let's go back to the screen here. We're going to share. So Hannah, you have 2 singles. We kind of mentioned them before, but let's go into a little bit more depth. So I'll Be Home for Christmas. And then the latest one is A Holy Night.
Yes.
So tell me, I mean, obviously we all love these songs, but what was it about these 2 in particular that meant something to you and made you want to share them?
Well, as far as Oh Holy Night, Oh Holy Night is just a beautiful classic Christmas piece that I just love to sing. And that was definitely something as far as a Christmas single I wanted to record. I'll Be Home for Christmas. Another one is just has a beautiful melody, and it's just a very pretty song. And I was able to collaborate. I had the opportunity to collaborate with friends of mine who are my Egyptian friends from the West Eastern Divan Orchestra that are currently in Doha at the Qatar Philharmonic Orchestra. And so they actually were playing with me. I recorded it here, and then they added their musical instruments. There we had,
that's so special.
Yeah, saxophone. I recorded it with piano here. Then we have violin and cello. And so that was just something really special to be able to collaborate with them. They're fantastic musicians.
And were there any fun moments that happened in the studio? I know we all try to go in very prepared, but I feel like sometimes there's some happy accidents that happen and some great things in the studio. So were there any moments that stood out to you from that recording session?
Well, in general, I mean, I love being in the recording studio. It is one of those things where you're really prepared, and then all of a sudden, you get right in front of the microphone, and then, you know, it's like, wait a second. Something, you know, everything comes right at the last minute. But overall, it was a really, really great recording. Like I said, I really tried to add a little more poppiness to it. And it was just a lot of fun from the normal way I've sung these songs with a fuller voice, how I was kind of able to play around with it. And that was a lot of fun listening back, and, you know, it was really nice to experiment with that.
Yeah, it's always nice to try something new, especially on songs that you love.
Yes.
Let me ask you both. So do you guys have any things you like to do when you're recording? For instance, I know some people like to have reverb in their ears, or some people don't. Is there a microphone? Tell me something about, like, when you're recording, is there a must-have that you like to do for your process?
For me personally, I know everybody is different, but for me, I don't like the dry sound as much when I'm recording.
Yep.
I do like the reverb. I know some people don't, but I personally do. At least while I'm recording, I know they don't always put all of that in, but while I'm singing, it's just, you know how they say you like to sing in the shower?
Yeah.
Good acoustics. Well, it's...
It makes it feel more like a live experience. You're not alone in this little box. Yeah.
You feel like when you're in a dry, you have a drier sound or space.
Yeah.
Push more than you have to. As Holly probably knows, is if you're especially singing live somewhere and there's not a lot of kickback, or not a lot of, like, you can't hear yourself.
Oh yeah.
And so you end up pushing harder than you have to.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. I do like to hear, some kind of space as well, that just helps you, you know, as Hannah was saying. But I think I like to have one headphone on and one off.
Okay.
I like to be able to hear my true voice in the room, rather than just having double headphones on. And I like some of the, well, there's a couple of tracks on my album where I did collaborate with a pianist and we recorded it live. And I really like to do that with them in the room and then just try and do it in one take. Because, and that goes for actually a lot of the recordings I did that weren't live with somebody playing. I don't like to do things really more than once or twice because I feel like you can then lose the magic of the performance of it. And you know, sometimes it's nice to have those little flaws, isn't it, where you know you can really hear it's genuine or genuine emotion rather than correcting absolutely everything. So I'll try to step away from it after recording like once or twice and say that's it, leave it alone, even if there's something that I'm not super keen on, just to sort of keep the performance.
Wow, kudos to you, because I could not do it in one take. So that's awesome. Really admire that. And I like what you're saying, though, because it is, I think there's something when people do live albums, it's not as technically perfect as the studio albums, but there is just a magic of that experience of the exchange you're saying with the pianist. If you have them right there, that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
So I think another thing on the journey of recording is, you know, it's one thing to be like, oh yeah, I made this record. Were there any surprises either with learning how to release it, you know, physically creating CDs or anything like that, that you guys have learned that you think could be helpful to other artists who are about to record and release for the first time?
Yeah, cool. I'll go because I definitely, for me, because I have never put something out before like this, like a whole album.
Yeah.
And it was a massive learning experience, you know, because there's no instruction booklet that says, hey, this is what you need to do. And you have to work these things out for yourself. So, you know, if you're doing covers, you've got to make sure you're licensing everything to make sure you're doing it all properly. And then, you know, you've got to, when you're putting things out, you know, you've got to choose the right distributor. And, you know, there's so many out there and you're thinking, which one should I go with? And, you know, how long, also when you put, you know, set a release date, it's sort of like, you know, you've got to make sure you do it within enough time so that it's going to be released. But, you know, there's no actual, I asked the distributor if there's a guarantee and they're like, well, actually there's no guarantee. We can't tell you, you know, it's down to if it makes it out on time by those other streaming platforms and things. So, you know, it was, really actually learning a lot of things as I went along. And the whole process took a really long time because you're double checking things and then the distributor's checking things and then you're having to go back and make sure, did I put the right track under the right title? Because if you get that wrong, you know, you end up, you know, mixing things. So yeah, there was all these extra things that I hadn't thought about, and claiming your artist pages and all these other streaming platforms. So yeah, I didn't want to bombard everybody with hundreds of links. So I've tried to make one link that has all the links in so that people can, you know, just click that and it's easier for them. But yeah, I mean, that was has been my experience up till now. I'm sure maybe it gets easier as you do more. I'm not sure, Hannah might have done more and be able to help with that. But that was my first experience with it. So yeah.
No, that's quite a good point. I feel like in other industries, it's more common to have a landing page where it's just for whatever that product is, whatever the offer, and everything is there. So that's a good idea, Holly, where you have all your links in one place. Holly, can I ask you what distributor you used? And then Hannah, the same question.
Sure. I used CD Baby. That seemed to me almost the most user-friendly when I was looking around at different ones, and it was coming up as one that was really well recommended, so I just went with that one. And yeah, it was quite easy to work things out, and every time you had a question there was a little thing there to answer it for you, and then there was a live chat, you know, you could ask your questions too. So I found that one quite explanatory, you know, for first-time user.
Yeah, I've heard some really good things about people liking them. Hannah, how about yourself?
I used the Modern Classical X
for
mine. And of course, that was very convenient. It was very easy to do. And like Holly was saying, you want to make sure that you have the right picture with the right pixel. Then you want to make sure you put in the right recording, and then you check over it many times to make sure it's the right one. You know, you set your release date, and you can pick what platforms you'd like your music to be released on. And kind of get everything set for you. So it's really easy and convenient, and you'll get a notification that it's been approved, and they'll release it on music platforms. And I mean, it's definitely been a learning process, but as Hollie was saying, it's easier to put, when you're advertising it, to put everything in one link. Like I'll do Linktree, because if anything, what I do know is that people like convenience and easy. And so if you can make it easy for people in one click, then that's better.
Oh yeah. So I have to say, from the perspective of someone who's like trying to find all the information when people have the release, when you guys have everything conveniently located, it makes my life so much simpler than trying to have to search for everything. So very much appreciated on this end. I have to ask, as you were mentioning, you know, all the different places your music can end up. Was there any platform for some reason you guys decided not to release your music to, or is it kind of just like as many platforms as you can?
I didn't. It was just as many as I could.
Okay.
The same. Yeah, everywhere.
Perfect. Well, okay. I have a couple of fun, well, hopefully fun questions for you surrounding the holidays. And then we'll go into a little bit about what's next, because I'm sure you guys have been planning for 2023 already for quite some time. So let's go. These are supposed to be rapid fire. I don't always pick the best questions, but let's try. So, is there a Christmas song that makes you cringe?
Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time.
I don't think I've heard that one.
Wings.
Yeah, that's a good one actually. Yeah, I would agree, that one, and also the one that Cliff Richard sung, Christmas Time, Mistletoe and Wine. That one.
Santa Baby.
Yeah, I Saw Mummy Kissing Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's
There's a few.
Okay, so those are the ones. So we have an ornament of I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas, and as the battery has gone out, it just has become, like, at first it was quite cute, and now it's become quite demented. So that's mine for right now. When do you guys set up your tree and your decorations around your homes?
For us, it's, you know, my family and I, we've always pretty much started like the day after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
You know, at my parents' house, it's always, my mom's, she's really big on Christmas decorations, so she'll even start like a few days before Thanksgiving, getting everything all set, the wreaths, and so it's early.
You're super organized. I'm like the opposite. I would love to do it really at the beginning, but I'm so busy with like other things going on and concerts and everything else. In the past couple of years, it's been Christmas Eve. I've ended up Christmas Eve, but actually that's quite nice in a way, because I think that is the European way. I think they do that in Germany, where they decorate the tree on Christmas Eve. So
oh, really? Okay.
It's actually quite nice in that respect to do that. Yeah, I do this year. I'm going to aim for a bit earlier than Christmas Eve, just because I want some Christmas lights in the windows. So yeah,
got it. Okay. Do you have a real or an artificial tree?
Artificial. I'd love a real one, but artificial.
How about you, Hannah?
Well, where I am, we have not put up a tree yet, but my parents, they have their fake trees. Although every once in a while they will get a real tree, like.
Oh, nice, into the mix.
But yes, into the mix. But there is always a fake tree.
Okay, got it. If you could be a character in a holiday movie, who would you be?
That's a good question. There's so many. Do you know, actually, I know I would be the Grinch. Not because
I love it.
Like, I love Christmas, but I just think the Grinch is such an awesome character, right? And I would just like to be, you know, that sort of moody Grinch living on a mountain, just for one day, you know, and see what that feels like. Yeah, that's who I would be.
How about you, Hannah?
I have no idea.
How fun would it be, the two bungling buffoons from Home Alone, like just getting stuff thrown at you? I feel like that would be pretty cool too.
That would be funny, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or being Macaulay Culkin, being the kid.
Right,
that
yeah, being
voiced
the,
them.
yeah.
Yeah,
Who gets to mastermind it? Of course, yes.
absolutely.
So what is the coolest gift either you've given somebody or that you've been given?
Okay, so when I was younger, when I was about 16, actually, my parents got me one of these special event days that you can have to go and try something out. And it was a day in the recording studio, actually.
Oh, wow.
So my first ever experience in a recording studio, able to just go and record one song. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. I think I cried when I opened that. And it was just one of the best presents. And I think somewhere have the CD that I recorded. I think it was Whistle Down the Wind, Tina Arena, or something like this. But yeah, that was a really cool gift. I'm not sure if I've given any cool gifts. I'd have to ask my family and friends and see what they think. But that was definitely a cool present that I got.
That's very special. Hannah,
Yeah.
how about you?
As far as a cool gift that I've gotten for Christmas, I can go back to childhood. And this is when the Game Boys were big.
Yes.
I got a Game Boy Color.
But was yours like a clear one, or what was your color? Was it red?
It was like a teal colored, and I got some like Mario Kart or Mario games I could play with, and that was the thing back then. And then I guess another one would have been when I got my first iPhone.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Going from the flip phone to the iPhone, that was a huge jump.
Yeah. Yeah, like my first mobile phone, I guess. Yeah, my first phone that ever, was able to use. That's probably a really cool gift. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, can you imagine there's going to be kids, they have no idea what we're talking about soon. That's great.
I'm with you on the Mario Kart, though. Like, I'm there. Yeah, that was definitely the thing. I think we're the same generation there. That was, yeah. That was cool.
And kind of a bonus question. So I love what you said about the recording studio. That made a big impact. I know some people give like music lessons as gifts. What would you say for like the musician in your life? What would you recommend that people, if they're looking to give a gift for a musician, what's a good gift?
I don't know. For me, like, I don't ever have time to go and get myself normal things because I'm so busy doing music things. Like, if somebody wanted to get me just, like a pair of shoes or some makeup or even just toiletries, things like that, you forget sometimes to get yourself, because as a performer you need those things, and then you're like, oh, I've run out. Why has nobody been to the shop for me? Oh, wait, that's me that has to do that. So yeah, I would say that would be really useful, for me as a present.
How about you, Hannah?
For me, kind of it's the same. It's one of those things where people are like, what do you want? And you're like, sometimes I know, and then other times I'm like, just, you can get me this or that. Or as far as a musician, I mean, going to a performance or something like that. I have had friends that have bought me tickets to go to a certain concert, and that's always great because I love music, and so we'll go together and have a fun night out. So things like that, and then of course any support that goes towards your career. So like if somebody's like, hey, I'll give you a contribution, of this much, to help go towards your project that you're doing, something like that.
Yeah, no, those are both really great ideas. I don't know if you guys have tried something called Sheet Music Direct. I was introduced to it recently. It's kind of like Netflix of sheet music. So that was really
I use it all the time because I teach as well. So that's like
that's where I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anything like that, guys. And yeah, maybe we should normalize like having like campaigns of here's how you can donate to my project. I mean, we have like Patreon and things, but maybe there's something else we can add. Think about it.
Yeah.
All right. So my final question to you both, it has been a treat to chat with you. My final question is, what's coming next for you in the new year? So let's go, Hannah, Holly.
So for 2023, I'm still trying to figure out what I want. I definitely want to do some more recordings, record some more singles. I keep on going back and forth between some of the pop or maybe do more of the classical operatic stuff. So there are some songs that I do have in mind that I definitely would like to record. I know there'll be some live performances as well. My voice teacher would like to put together. There are some things up in the air that are not 100% certain yet, but there are some good things coming, and definitely there'll be some more recordings, and I will try to mix up add some maybe pop ones. And one song that I really would love, as somebody who is, my mother's from Argentina, so recording Don't Cry For Me Argentina is something that I would love to do.
Absolutely.
That song has a very special place. So I would really like to record that.
I like that. And we've had a question here from Patrick at Keyclef Productions. He said, how about any original tunes from either one of you guys?
Okay, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, my partner actually writes a lot of his own music.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, and so we keep talking about me doing some songwriting as well. So that is definitely something that I would be interested in doing. But like what Hannah was saying, I've got a lot of more recording ideas coming up. I want to keep doing more of the classical crossover videos that I do. I really enjoy making them. So that's something that I'm going to continue with, building up in the new year, and also continuing with the opera synergy project that I've started. So that will be happening next year. But really just want to put more music out there and start sort of sharing more, because that's something that I haven't done enough, and I want to start doing more of, because it's one thing doing it at home, but if you start sharing and putting it out into the world, then that's really positive thing. So I'm going to start or continue doing my recordings, and maybe with Hannah, because she's a mezzo and I'm a soprano, there might be a collaboration there. You never know.
Yeah, definitely. Get some flower duet, and
I love it.
Definitely. And that is a nice one, the flower duet, and that's, even though that's opera, a lot of people recognize it. So that's kind of like the Carmen Habanera.
Absolutely. There's the opera arias, aren't there? That the ones that everybody
knows. But the flower duet is one that I really would love to do. And original music, the producer that I've been working with, Mark Anthony, has talked to me about doing some original music. So that's another thing I'll be delving into as well. But I would love to do a duet.
It's on the cards. It's there.
Maybe for a classical crossover magazine concert. Just throwing it out there. Well, let me share your releases one more time on the screen before I let you go. So I'll Be Home for Christmas and Oh Holy Night are streaming now for Hannah. Tomorrow you can download and buy physical copies of Pure Imagination, and be sure to tune in to Holly's channel later today for the release of Defying Gravity. So thank you guys so much for coming and chatting.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
It's an absolute treat, and keep in touch when you have more new music. We'll chat again. Thanks everyone as well. Please go follow their channels. I believe it's just bothofyournames.com. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, and you're on all the social media things, guys. That's free. Streaming is free. Do the supporting things. Much appreciated. Have a good evening or afternoon to everybody.
Bye.
Bye.